Hi, welcome to your weekly energy report for the week of the 7th of June through, I guess, around the 13th of June. Apologies for my strained vocal cords. I have a little bit of what I suppose is, well, I couldn't say it's laryngitis because I strained my voice myself because I had so much pent up energy that I sometimes take to uh, closing myself in my car and screaming. And I did that in order to release some tension that needed to be released because it wasn't serving any purpose and I needed to move past it. And I think I went a little overboard. So I've had no voice for a couple of days. But at least I deal with my shit. Are you dealing with your shit? Because I know that this will have been a period of time where you've had a lot of shit to deal with. Do you feel that energy? June is just really intense. I mean, there's a lot going on, and it's sort of that feeling where it suddenly, I mean, I don't know my head from my ass half the time because I'm just like this constantly, like so much going on. All the things that were consuming me before, all of the, trials and tribulations of relationships and, struggles with other people. I ain't got time for none of that shit no more because I'm dealing with me, I'm dealing with my life path forward, and, it's all about finding a way to maintain your own balance. So, hopefully, you are also working through this in a constructive way that serves your higher self and your higher purpose. Um, as we've been in this in between eclipse energy, things have been extra um, um, volatile, and the potentiality is heightened in many ways in this sort of window of opportunity. And of course, with us having a solar eclipse in Gemini on the 10th of June, this coming week, which will be squaring Neptune in Pisces, this is a huge spiritual reckoning, whatever that means for you, depending on where you stand in terms of your own spiritual practice, how that's integrated into your life and your mind. If you're feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling disconnected from your spiritual essence, then this will um, recalibrate you, but prepare yourselves if that's the case, because with all the Saturnian, Uranian crazy energy of the square, and that this is just like, if you're not doing the work, then Saturn and Uranus are coming in to do it for you in ways that are unexpected and perhaps even a little bit, they might feel a little harsh. That said, if you're not in that state and you are balanced or prioritizing balance in your life, then these things will all kind of fall into place in a serendipitous way that you'll just feel in flow. So, to give context to that, flying out of the Sacred Destiny Oracle deck this week, we got the same card as last week. Flow came out. So again, emphasis, we know what this means. Remember it from last week. But as we're trying to move through these readings as quickly and succinctly as possible, just put that in your mind. Flow. Whatever happens, this is the key word of the week. Stay in flow. And we got a second card to clarify where this is headed. And we got the New Beginnings card. And I will read New Beginnings for us because it's always good to get that context, right? New Beginnings is represented by the radiant sunrise. The sun is the most profound symbol of life itself, large enough to fit 1,000,000 Earths inside it. In ancient cultures, the largesse of the rising sun represented hope and the understanding that life begins again, fresh and new. Where am I? Oh, shit. I lost myself completely there. Responsible for the climate and weather of the Earth, it is a symbol of birth and rebirth. It can also represent resurrection and a time of profound spiritual awakening. It symbolizes the end of darkness and the beginning of light, and an initiation of a whole new cycle. The sacred landscape wants you to know that your life is expanding in profound and wondrous ways. New experiences and ideas are emerging. Vitality and wide open opportunities are at hand. Seize the day. This is a perfect time to begin that new project or give birth to an emerging idea. Timing is everything, and the time is now. Anything and everything is possible. Good fortune awaits you. The rising sun is the ultimate symbol of the Yang principle, expanding power and activity. You are radiant and luminous. There is a glow within you that can be felt by all. And I sense a lot of Jupiter and Pisces energy there, which will be very prevalent for us in the coming months. So I'm sure we'll discuss that when the time comes. Our Spirit Animal Oracle card of the week, also a beautiful, unexpected card this week. Bee Spirit, number 7. Sweet results await. The Bee Spirit's message is that sweet rewards are on the way if you are willing to get your ego out of the way and immerse yourself in the connected energy of all things. And that came through very strongly when I was shuffling. So much of this eclipse energy is about moving away from the egoic constraints of all this, trying to define ourselves by how we interact with other people, whether or not other people validate our truth, our perception, our experiences. And the lesson and the message are very strong. Who cares? You understand yourself. And if you're in alignment and you're not hurting anybody else, and your preservation factor is about your expansive growth and your path forward, then you don't have to worry about how other people feel. That is for them to figure out. You need to work on you. And Lord knows there's a lot of people out there who are not really working on themselves. And we'll discuss that with the Osho deck this week, because those are the energies that came out. So, the Bee Spirit's message, we love what we said that. Bee Spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey. Miracles and magic are everywhere. When you connect with the great hive, you are vibrating and buzzing in exquisite harmony with all. Bee Spirit asks that your focus be on connectivity. Your body, heart, soul, and psyche experience total interconnectedness and a true integration when you self-forget. When you remember that you are part of a greater unified consciousness. Moving from separation into connection, from self-centered limitation to spirit-centered infinite possibility and potential, you become busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of bee spirit. Fully in alignment with your highest expression of yourself, your heart opens and creativity rushes through you seemingly without effort as you experience that nothing feels like work. Industriousness is driven by enthusiasm and inner motivation, and time seems to fly by quickly as the hive supports you in the making of honey. Do you feel the presence of your helpers in the hidden realm, adding their energy to your creations? And just as a side note, I've noticed this a lot for me in terms of my work, my professional income-driven work, that if I see myself as separate, then it makes everything so difficult. Um, if I integrate myself in the sense that I know my uniqueness, I know the separation of that can come from value system based definition of delineation of responsibility and impact. To move beyond that and to see myself as an integral part of the culture, but in my own way, not in a way of submission in the sense of conformity. It makes everything flow so much better, and it actually becomes vindicating, it becomes reinforcing, it becomes nurturing. But you have to really figure out how to approach it in a way that you feel that it's personal to you, in a way that grows your spiritual essence, nurtures your spiritual essence, as opposed to limiting it and forcing you to check it at the door and come back to it at the end of your work day. That doesn't really work very well. Magical results are taking form and will be sweeter than you expect. Bee Spirit wants you to remember that your part in the divine partnership with the conscious universe is being rewarded, even if you can't see that yet, and asks that you share your good fortune, as there is plenty of honey for all. Be a part of the larger whole, the force that brings forth all that is sweet and delightful. And should you be struggling with that, let's read the protection message, because it will give you a little insight into how you can adjust and tweak in order to be in flow, right? When Bee Spirit comes as your protector, she asks you to be very honest with yourself. Do you want to taste the sweet honey others have been making, but you believe is unattainable for you? Do you wonder how others ended up with so much magical honey when you seem to have none? Have you bought into the illusion of separation and become convinced that you can't have what others in the hive enjoy? Do you separate from the hive to do it all on your own, or to hoard what honey you have, unwilling to trust that there is plenty of support and plenty of sweetness to go around? If you have been overworking and overdoing and have not given yourself any time to enjoy the sweetness of your life, Bee Spirit is telling you to stop and recharge. Perhaps you're afraid that if you don't get something done, it just won't get done. Fear of missing out, or fear of not being validated, or fear of abandonment, alienation. These are basic things that usually most of us work on ourselves to overcome through psychotherapy, spiritual practices, and development and discovery. This is the very essence of the work. So if you are struggling with this, then you have skipped a few steps and you need to take care of that. Time does not exist. It's never too late to get these, exploratory, necessary steps under your belt. So think about that if you are struggling, because it's really important that you take care of those things. We are spiritual beings, and we're moving into this new consciousness, but at the same time, if we haven't dealt with our trauma, if we haven't, integrated a practice to consciously confront and work through our trauma, if we are in avoidance, then we will just find ourselves coming back to the same spot over and over again and having to go through those same cycles. And, some of us are addicted to our trauma cycle and triggers, and putting ourselves in these places of poverty consciousness and going into the rabbit hole of misery and self-deprecation and separation from others and egoic kind of punishment of others. I experience it all the time from people. And it's not to say that I haven't been capable of doing it myself. I've done it many times. But now when I slip into that space, I snap out of it pretty quickly. But I do see other people fall into it all the time. And you know what? When you like won't accept it from them, it enrages them and you become scapegoated, and that sucks. But it's just part of the journey. And all we can do is understand that and forgive it, because it gets in our own way as much as the other person's way not to. So, again, forgiveness does not mean indulging and accepting. It means accepting that in order to give ourselves and the other people the opportunity to evolve, we have to clear the space with forgiveness in order to allow the flow to continue, right? And in our separate worlds, at the end of the day, energetically, it's all intertwined. But sometimes, yeah, you have to go your solitary path alone in a way that is going to be best for you. I don't know who that was for, but that came through just now. Where was I? However, even busy bees need to take a break, and when you do, the honey still gets made. So remind yourself that sweetness is everywhere and available to you always when you need it. It's a nice message to have for the week. Okay, what do we have? Our underlying message of the week. Interesting dynamic here. We have the Nine of Water, Nine of Cups, interpreted in the Osho Zen deck as laziness. So I think it's interesting because, I think right now we may be in that space where it's like we're desperately wanting to feel good. And as a result of wanting to feel good, we may be bypassing our spiritual practice because we fail to see that that is actually what will make us feel good. It's sort of the same principle as when, that eating a nice salad will give you the nutrition that you need to feel good and to function well. But instead, because your association with enjoyment is indulgence, you eat a pizza and then you feel like shit afterwards, right? This gentleman clearly thinks he's got it made. He sits in his big overstuffed chair wearing his sunglasses shaded by his umbrella, with his pink slippers and his pina colada in his hand. He doesn't have the energy to get up and do anything because he thinks he's done it already. He hasn't yet turned to see the mirror cracking around him on his right, a sure sign that the place he thinks he's finally arrived at is about to shatter and dissolve before his very eyes. The message this card brings is that this poolside resort is not your final destination. The journey isn't over yet, as that white bird flying into the vastness of the sky is trying to show. Your complacency might have arisen from a real sense of achievement, but now it's time to move on. No matter how fuzzy the slippers, how tasty the pina colada, colada, it's really hard to say for some reason. There are skies upon skies still waiting to be explored. When you are lazy, it is a negative state. You simply feel that you have no energy. You simply feel dull. You simply feel sleepy. You simply feel dead. When you are in a state of non-doing, then you are full of energy. It is a very positive taste. You have full energy overflowing. You are radiant, bubbling, vibrating. You are not sleepy. You are perfectly aware. You are not dead. You are tremendously alive. There is a possibility the mind can deceive you. It can rationalize laziness as non-doing. It can say, I have become a Zen master, or I believe in Tao. but you are not deceiving anybody else. You will be deceiving only yourself. So be alert. Interesting sort of reprise of what we just said, right? Different connotation, but good stuff. Okay, let's get into this reading. From the regular tarot, our underlying energy is the Queen of Wands. This is a very strong, fierce leonine energy. A week to be in your essence, to be self-confident, strong, driven, and well, again, this is very much this is to give us context on what that flow energy is evolving into. It's evolving into a place where, all that the pain body voices of like, oh, I shouldn't say that, oh, I shouldn't do this, oh, I'm going to step back, oh, I'll just be quiet in the background to allow things to sort of develop before I make my move or whatever. And the truth is, just be in your essence, be you, do the best version that you can do of yourself, and the universe will handle the rest, right? Emphasized again, very interesting, because that underlying energy, that Nine of Water, Nine of Cups, we get at the very center of our reading. This is us right now, resting a little on our laurels. This is great because we have all these experiences and we've understood them. We've sort of come to a standstill where we're like, okay, this is it. This is what I am. This is how life is. And with the Fool crossing it, it's pretty much telling us that no, that's not the way it's going to be. And that Saturn-Uranus square and that eclipse energy from the sun squaring, Neptune and Pisces, it's like, get ready. There's a new spiritual awakening coming that you don't know about, and it's probably good that you're in that Nine of Cups, Nine of Water, laziness energy, because sometimes it's the jolt that really kickstarts us, right? Into new learning, new expansiveness, and that's exciting. And I, for one, I'm very much looking forward to this, because I know that a lot of this is geared towards having healthier, new relationship paths in life. Because let's not forget, that's where we're at in this evolutionary process. We've done a lot of this inner work, and now this is all about taking it outside. Right now we are in the tail end of the second decan of Gemini, so that we've done the self-discovery, then we went into, we've been on this path in the last week or so where it's about what are my boundaries and limits in the world in terms of my curiosity and discovery and my need for newness. It's like we're sort of preparing the soil, for a new harvest kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know why I would even try to talk in farming terms, because it's not really me. But it is what it is. In our past, it's good to see this card here, the Six of Cups. This is that nostalgia, inner child, card. It's all right now, I'm getting a very strong sense of it's all about going into the past, and having that association that somehow the spark and the sparkle are all in the past. It's all associated with memories. It's all old transmitter pathways that light up when you think about them. The same way as when you have sugar and your brain goes, "Oh, this is amazing, a reward," but in fact you're killing yourself. It's that same thing of oh, it was better when this. Oh, I felt love here. Oh, I was embraced in this way here. Oh, I was more successful in my career here. Blah 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 blah. Oh, it was so much easier that. No, it wasn't. It was not. You just have your brain tricks you into thinking that it was. You are the best version of yourself that you have ever been right now. Even if you feel like shit, let me remind you of that 100%. And if you're in doubt, it's just the law of the universe. You don't need to worry about that. You're exactly where you're meant to be, experiencing exactly what you're meant to experience, which means that you are the sum total of all of the experiences that you've had, right? And you embody that inner child and that inner self parent, remember that. So none of that old nostalgic shit is real at all. It's all an illusion to keep you trapped. It's all ego, you know. It's a hard one to accept because they're feelings, and feelings, we tend to think that we confuse our feelings with our intuition, right? That's why it's complicated. Um, our underlying energy, what we've been working through and what's pushing us into this present moment is the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is a very fast cutting energy where it's like, you just want to like rip through like all the stages to get to where you want to be. You know where you're headed in terms of your thoughts. It's all projections, and you're just like ready to slay. And it's like, or you have been, and it has gotten you to this point. But I bet you any money that it's also caused a lot of frustration because you're like trying to skip steps and we are not in flow when we're in this energy. I'm sorry to the Knight of Swords. But that's the message that I'm getting from the card. It's all context and it all depends on the energies. So in this case, the Knight of Swords is very much that kind of like overzealous energy that can kind of get us in trouble, especially with our own mind. Um, Our immediate future energy, which was our future outcome energy last week, I believe, was the high priest or somewhere thereabouts, the high priestess. I'm going to take a clarifier on the high priestess because, of course, we know that this is a spiritual balance. This is all about intuitive healing, not just of ourselves, but of others, our own healing gifts. And it's an embrace of the darkness and the light as being one and the same. And one cannot exist without the other, and having that perfect understanding of that, and therefore not needing to feel in separation or defined by either one of those essences. So, and she's right next to that Queen of Wands as I'm looking down at the table right now. So I feel like, yeah, okay, we got some very nice clarifiers for that High Priestess. We got the Sun and the Ten of Cups. And what's interesting is because the High Priestess is sort of like shows like a yin yang like balancing act there, and then we have these two cards, which even though they build on each other, they're also, they kind of represent these. So it's to understand, how do we fall into the legacy trap? In other words, this is infinite possibility. The sun is everything to us in our life force, as we were reading earlier, and nothing exists without the sun. And here we have the worshiping. It's a rainbow, but it's like worshiping the sky, the sun. That divine essence. And this is a celebratory legacy card of emotions fulfilled and being in the position to care and love one another in perfect spiritual alignment. But of course, the fact that it comes under the darkness, we have to see the cycle within this, that, this easily becomes a nightmare. So the spiritual essence of the high priestess is to always be maintaining the spiritual flow within. And this is what gives us access to these. This is not an end goal. This is a sort of a byproduct of this, as is this. This is how we receive it, and this is how we create it. But we have to be in alignment there. But that's our future energy. immediate future. So pretty nice energy for the week ahead. It's just important. The message there is that you understand that flow is essential to legacy building. You can't see the goal outside of yourself and reach for it and expect to be in alignment if your focus is on that rather than being present in your experience, right? Um, Bear with me 1 second because I'm getting an enormous amount of messages. What is this? Yes, okay. Sorry about that. Our crowning energy of the week, the Ace of Cups. Again, I will take a clarifier on this, but this is like a divine gift from the emotional realm. This is like where we actually come into, there's a lot of cups on the table. I'm looking right now. We come into this essence, and this is the part of the reading that's all related to us and our inner self, and rather than the second part is our environment. So this is about, this is the week that I think that we come in through this eclipse. Again, interesting that we get that sun so dominant there with the high priestess showing darkness and light, very strong impact of this eclipse. And the Ace of Cups is really the result of all of that. The Ace of Cups is when we feel emotionally inspired by divinity. And in other words, we carry our cup is full with a replenished divine essence that drives us forward outside of our egoic projections. Very pure energy, really. Okay. I wasn't getting a clarifier, and then as I was about to say that we weren't getting a clarifier, the magician slipped out. So the magician reminds us again of how much we are in control of that. If you see yourself as the alchemist, if you understand that you create everything that you're going to experience and that everything is on offer to you because you have that divine cup, again, it's sitting right there. You have to be in flow and in balance with all of the elements, You have everything to do it. It's whether or not you can get past your ego to actually receive and give in equal measure without effort. It's just about, if you're in flow to receive, you will naturally give because you'd become, it's like spiritual blue balls, basically, right? You'd like, for women that watch and don't know what blue balls are, it's like when you don't ejaculate for a very long time and, there's a feeling of frustration. So that would be the same sort of thing. And frankly, that drives a lot of the male ego. So never a constructive thing, right? In our environment, how we're represented in our environment is the Knight of Pentacles, which means that we are seen in our environment at present as being calculated. I don't mean calculated in a manipulative way, but I mean that people are conscious of how conscious we are of where we're headed and what we want. I think many of us may have spoken up or in some way communicated to the outside world who we really are at this point and where we expect to be. And, the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest of all the knights, but still a fast-moving energy, and it's a very determined energy. It's when we carry our Ace of Pentacles with a fierce determination of knowing where the outcome is. And there's no clarifier coming on that. Probably because in our environment, coming back at us, we already get the clarifier, which is the Five of Wands, which is we're still contending with the fact that when we're in that flow, it's very triggering for other people who are not, who are struggling. They don't usually look at people that are successfully navigating the flow as being inspirational. They look at them as being threatening to the status quo of their misery or their attachment to ego, right? So might be contending. Well, I mean, I've already been dealing with that in my life, and the advice on that is the hermit. Again, go within, remember that you carry that inner light and that you can always seek it out if you feel lost or overwhelmed. But again, it's all about flow, it's all about that spiritual balance. Uh, what's interesting is in our psychology spot, I did do a Celtic cross, as you probably figured out this week, which I don't do often because sometimes it doesn't flow fast enough for these readings. But the Page of Pentacles is there to, in contrast to, we see ourselves and are the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles in our environment, but psychologically we're the Page. So that tells me that there's a sense of intimidation within us right now, that we're feeling like we have to make ourselves a little bit smaller than we really are. That's fine. It's a learning process. And the Page is the most teachable card. And I guess it's just a matter of knowing your place, because it's the psychology card and it's therefore our self-awareness. Like, just keep reminding yourself when you're finding yourself in positions where you feel perhaps up against this Five of Wands energy, which is the people around us coming at us with their egoic jousting. Um, it's like ideas clashing kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just remember that that is not there to make you feel smaller or to correct you. That is there to, well, we'll call it healthy competition, right? It's probably the best way of looking at it. And our outcome, interestingly, this came out, the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man came with the Eight of Pentacles and the Devil card. So the Hanged Man is really about finding yourself in your spiritual essence, taking time to sort of contemplate the terrain, because there is so much newness coming in. There's so many shifts taking place that you have this vantage point right now. And it's important to kind of not stop, but because it's a voluntary, if you look, the halo there of the Hangman is, it emphasizes that you have the enlightenment already. If you're choosing to take in the view a little bit, it's not so that you can be in Nine of Cups, Nine of Water energy and be lazy. It's that you're soaking it all in, you're strategizing, you're allowing yourself to replenish your sense of flow. And, the flow is specifically between work and play. This is where we lose ourselves in our craft by overworking ourselves. And this is where we lose ourselves in escapism from that very essence. The Hanged Man, as our outcome, is telling us that what will ultimately come of all of these energies is a temperance between those two aspects, to finally embolden ourselves to grow into fully socialized, fully emotionally capable, open human beings. Do I want one more card on that? Because it was kind of like, that's very metaphysical. Can we get like maybe a... Interesting. Got the Page of Swords. So yes, don't try to define it. In other words, Just let it flow. We're not getting an answer on that. We're here to learn. Okay, I took one Osho tarot card to sum up the outcome of this coming week and where we're headed energetically. And we got the beautiful Three of Water, Three of Cups, celebration. So let's read that as our outgoing message and apply it to our situations where we can. These three women dancing in the wind and the rain remind us that celebration never need depend on outside circumstances. We need not wait for a special holiday or a formal occasion, nor a sunny and cloudless day. True celebration arises from a joy that is first experienced deep within and spills over into an overflow of song and dance and laughter, and yes, even tears of gratitude. When you choose this card, it indicates that you are becoming more and more available and open to the many opportunities that are to celebrate in life and to spread this by contagion to others. This is really clarifying the Hangman for us, right? Don't bother about scheduling a party on your calendar. Let your hair down, take your shoes off, and start splashing in the puddles right now. The party is happening all around you every moment. Life is a moment to celebrate, to enjoy. Make it fun, a celebration, and then you will enter the temple. The temple is not for the long-faced. It has never been for them. Look at life. Do you see sadness anywhere? Have you ever seen a tree depressed? Have you ever seen a bird anxiety-ridden? Have you ever seen an animal neurotic? No, life is not like that at all. Only man has gone wrong somewhere, and he has gone wrong somewhere because he thinks himself to be very wise, very clever. Your cleverness is your disease. Don't be too wise. Always remember to stop. Don't go to the extreme. A little foolishness and a little wisdom is good, and the right combination makes you a Buddha. Wow, what a beautiful way of summing all of that up. I don't have anything else to say to you except to wish you a fantastic spiritual journey ahead. Soak in that solar eclipse. It's potent, I'm telling you. I think we're going to feel very differently about ourselves and our reality by the end of this week to come. This is something to look forward to. And I wish you infinite blessings. And yeah, peace.